Hey guys, Tarke here, excuse the look, I'm just out of the shower, and I wanted to quickly show off where the build is at and talk about some things I'm considering, because the build's forming really well, but I'm very undecided in terms of skill tree. I keep speccing in and out of different things. I'm currently trying out a Divine Shield setup where 3% of any physical damage I take, I regen as ES, and it feels pretty meh, to be honest. I made pretty liberal use of it on a previous version of the build when I was doing low life things, and it felt great there, especially with the combination of block and everything else. But in the current setup, I'm not really getting anything out of it, which feels pretty unfortunate. That being said, though, the build's feeling really, really good from every other point of view. I'm finding up to a 6 link, which is really nice, and I've got my Atlas tree set up to just like power farm tier 14 and tier 15 maps. I'll do loot at the end of the map, and the rest of my Atlas is all around blocking out every other map except for the 14s and 15s I want to run, and then getting Breach, Legion, and Delirium in like every other map. And it looks like none of those mechanics spawned in this map, of course, which would have been great for the showcase, but whatever. Now I'm in a position where, because I'm an Omniscience build, I can get away with doing like really weird routing. And because of that, because I get damage from each attribute node, I've just tried out some weird looking trees. So if you are interested in this build, interested in following along with this build or whatever, then I recommend using these daily updates as a very rough guideline, because it feels like every other day I'm doing a completely different skill tree where I'm changing out like 20, 30 skill points, and I intend to do a massive respec of my tree in the next couple of days, going for something which is more focused on movement speed. So currently I'm would like to be tankier, but I'm relatively happy with the current levels of defense, and I'm very happy with the current levels of offense. And now I just want to focus on anything which just makes my clear smoother and quicker. So that will be getting more trap throwing speed and getting more straight up movement speed, because I feel like movement speed is the main weakness of the build currently. That felt satisfying. It's very satisfying when you just insta-global big essences like that. And shame we didn't get any breaches or legions, but I plan on doing a bunch of 5-way videos, so I'll show off the build versus that content in the coming days that are remaining. That'll do for the showcase. Let me show you what my skill tree looks like. So this is what I was talking about in terms of just trying out weird things. So we're very much going all the way around the houses. This is very suboptimal. If I was going to stick with this tree, which again I'm going to change, but if I was going to stick with this tree, then it'd be very important to get this node and get the mastery for cannot be chilled while at maximum frenzy charges. Then this tree kind of makes sense, especially if you're doing stuff like void batteries. The main reason why I wanted to try out this tree, as I said, was to mess around with Divine Shield, because I enjoyed it on a previous iteration of the build, but it just doesn't really feel worth it in my current setup. And the other benefit of coming along this way, getting all the power charges, getting Disciple of the Forbidden, is I'm basically crit capped. I think I'm on like 97-90% chance to crit, which is obviously very, very strong. And I've got a pretty good Timeless Jewel spot here, taking Corrupted Soul. I'm not actually sure how highly I even rate Corrupted Soul, to be honest, in my current setup, because I still haven't got a Tinker Skin, but we did get this Cutthroat Garb 6th link from a Geomancer's Incubator. I've been getting a lot of those farming Legion. I think I've had 5 already so far in SSF. And not the best, but it's fine. I've got some Fizz from hits taken as cold damage. I've got good spell suppression. Then 10% of life is extra maximum energy shield. So even without that, this chest alone is giving me like 500 ES, which is pretty good. And then that's giving me, you know, an additional, quick maths, 700 ES. Now, something that I've been thinking quite a lot about is I'm probably better off going for like a more traditional tree, taking stuff like melding and just focusing on getting like 6k life, and then something like this would be giving me basically the same ES pool, and maybe dropping the Glorious Vanity and instead running just a like a Lethal Pride or something instead. So if you shove a Lethal Pride in here, there are like 2 really good spots for it. Here, if you're taking Master Sapper, Replenishing Remedies, Charisma, and Ballistics, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 potential like increased strength or additional flat strength, or if it's taken as whatever. Or alternatively taking it over here, and then you can be getting Heartseeker, Herbalism, Intuition, and then potentially Survivalist if that hits something really nice. This would be a great spot to put it. Especially if you're like rooting around and taking stuff like Resourcefulness and Blood Drinker, and One with Evil. But the problem you have is it converts Ghost Dance. But yeah, you can get some pretty nice things on here, like stuff like this. 5% increased strength is obviously really powerful. Getting a bunch of stacked 5% strength nodes, super strong on a build which scales its damage from flat attributes. And you're also getting, just flat attribute on each minor node. It's why I think I probably want to change my tree and shove one in either here or here. And why I'm considering going away from the glorious Vanity setup. So that's all things that I'm kind of considering. As I said, I'm really happy in terms of offense and relatively happy with defense now with where the build is currently at. The main thing I do want to focus on is just getting more movement speed, because my current goal is just to power farm to like level 97, like level 98, get a couple more points, get a couple more masteries, and then start focusing on the Uber content. So I'm only level 94. I spent a very long time at level 93 because I was doing silly things where I was like full expedition with like double altars, and that's really rippy, especially if you're doing full essence investment as well. I'm currently messing around with having Delhi unlocked and then Breach and Legion. The Breach and Legion feels really good. It also feels really safe, and it's very quick XP for my build because Lightning Trap's got such good coverage. I want this unlocked, and ideally kind of want this unlocked as well, so that while I'm power farming tier 14s and 15s for XP for the next couple of levels, I'm then stockpiling Guardian maps when I want to get into bossing. So I'm considering doing the unbelievable and even dropping essence nodes, or at least like maybe only having amplified energies and crystallize, and maybe dropping prolific and crystal. Just because essences are very rippy, they slow down my mapping quite substantially, and it's obviously a lot of skill points going for those nodes. One thing I will talk about briefly is shadow shaping. I spoke about shadow shaping quite a lot before the league started, and about how blocking maps would be very strong, and now people seem to be kind of catching on to this. I've seen a few people talk about this from a like softcore trade zoom point of view. So the reason why shadow shaping is so strong is maps found cannot be your favored maps. You're like, okay, well, you get to block bad layouts. Why does that matter? Well, you can take, for example, tier 14s and tier 15s. There aren't that many of them. And you can block every single tier 14 except for the 14 you want to run. And likewise, every single 15 except for the 15 you want to run. Meaning that you can just sit in 14s and 15s all day, only running one map or two maps. So currently, I'm missing a couple of unlocks, so I can't fully block all the 15s. But I have Courtyard as the 114 that I'm running, because I quite like the layout, I quite like the multi-boss. It's better for Breach and Legion than City Square, just from my experience. I was doing City Square, but I often had Breaches and Legions just like on the edges of walls. Courtyard just seems to be better for it. I get just bigger breaches. And the connected maps for Courtyard are Colonnade and Mesa, which are both two layouts I actually quite enjoy. So these are the 15s that I have not blocked, then I've blocked all the other ones. So just from like manipulating the maps that drop, it's very powerful, but you also get some upside in the sense that you're then also getting special implicit modifiers. So I currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got an 8% chance to get a special modifier on everything I run, which is obviously really powerful. Really, my main bottleneck currently is just regrets, because literally every day I've been playing, I've been sinking probably about 40 or 50 regrets into trying out different skill tree stuff and trying out different Atlas skill tree stuff, which I find really enjoyable. This is the part of Pathx I really like, just messing around, seeing what's what. If I had a cluster jewel, then this would be amazing. Like, maybe keep the routing up till here, maybe don't travel past this point, get Disciple of the Forbidden, get the chill immunity, get a bunch of damage, and then shove like a big cluster set up here, and then maybe just come down this way and do like the basic trap stuff. It's interesting doing Omniscience because a lot of people go for a pretty traditional true, which kind of like comes down this way and then comes over to Mage Bane. But I don't have Dexterity, so Mage Bane's not really getting any value. I've actually also been considering a little bit about skill effect duration scaling, because I got this wand. I'm no longer running a trigger wand, and I'm no longer incorporating Tornado into the build, and Tornado does give like a fair chunk of additional damage. So I'm manually Sniper's Mark, which is always active, Bear Trap, and Siphoning Trap. Bear Trap is a massive multiplier. Enemies take 25% increased, huge multi. You want that to last for as long as possible, otherwise you need to be constantly throwing it out. I always just get into the rhythm of burst, 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 1, 2, burst, 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 burst. Sniper's Mark, you apply it once, it's active for the whole fight, it doesn't matter. And this is purely from like a uber boss point of view we're chatting right now. But then having to like wiggle tornadoes in as well seems quite busy. I've seen some people where they run like Tornado, Hydra Sphere, and Sniper's Mark in like a focus helmet. Could be an option. And then if you have skill effect duration, it just makes that more effective. One thing worth noting actually is I've lost exposure off my gloves. I need to fit exposure back into my gloves. I got these as an upgrade. They have 2 decent attribute rolls, an okay life roll, and then tier 1 life regen. And they had room for Pierce, and I want more Pierce. Because I'm going for such a heavy Atlas of Breach, Legion, and Delhi, that's just a lot of monsters, a lot of density. So I just want as much Pierce as possible. It's another reason why I kind of want to ditch this part of the tree and come back down this way. And some people say this is complete overkill, but I actually kind of want the 3 Pierce, 4 Pierce, 8 Pierce. You would think you never need that much, but actually, yeah, you kind of need that much. And then for serious bossing content, I would drop the Pierce support gem for trap and mine damage, because it's just a massive, massive multiplier. So anyway, now that I've done enough time to talk about the skill tree, I'll just quickly hover over my gear. Not that much has changed, I think, since the last update, and I'll leave a link to my PB down below if you want to look over my setups. But again, very much still a work in progress. I am pretty happy with my jewelry. I crafted this belt, which I'm pretty happy with. It's got strength, percent attributes, good life roll, crafted trap throwing speed, and then unfortunately hit absolute trash on the mana and increased fast life recovery rate, but otherwise pretty solid belt I probably won't replace for the lifetime of this character. These are okay. 1 attribute roll, life regeneration rate, movement speed. I don't need the cold res. Ideally, I'd be looking for like cannot be frozen, cannot be chilled on boots to open up my pantheon, a higher life roll, spell suppression, double attributes. Ideally, I kind of want spell suppression, double attributes on all of my gear. That's kind of the rule. As I already showed off, double attributes, life regen, pierce, and then spell damage, fire damage to spells, which activates my explosive expert, +1 lightning skill gems, and then crafted crit chance, and we unveiled. This was actually really nice. This dropped as a veiled item, and it was tier 2 fire damage spells, +1 lightning skill gems, unveiled the spell mana regen. Insane wand, actually. Really, really happy. So that I could upgrade with recon bobbing, but probably is staying as is. In terms of jewels, I have a corrupting blood, max life, proj damage, and then this isn't anything that great either. This is a fractured critical strike multiplier. I threw a bunch of currency trying to craft something, and they all just kind of flopped. But I will eventually try and craft this into at least double multi-life, which shouldn't be that difficult, because we have the 1 multi-roll locked in there, but I put so much currency into this, and in the end, I think I just like raged through 30 chaos at it, and then I just settled on this and thought I'll get back to it later. But anyway, that's just a quick update on where the build is at. Let me know if you've got any suggestions for me. Have a good day. Bye-bye.